Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a simple yet powerful question. When was the last time you heard your own voice, truly heard it, without the opinions of others drowning it out? When was the last time you sat in stillness, away from the chaos of the world, and actually listened? Not to the news, not to social media, not to what society expects, but to your own inner truth. We live in a world that never stops talking. Notifications ping like alarms, timelines scroll endlessly, everyone has something to say. And more often than not, they want you to live their way, think their thoughts, follow their path. We've been conditioned to look outward for approval, direction, and validation. But in this constant noise, we've lost something sacred, the voice within. Your authentic self is not out there somewhere waiting to be found. It's been whispering to you all along. But the noise, it has silenced it. Here's the truth. You will never find peace, purpose, or power until you learn to silence the noise and hear your true self. Your intuition, your soul, your deepest desires, they are not gone. They are just buried beneath layers of expectations, opinions, fear, and distraction. The path to clarity doesn't begin with doing more. It begins with subtracting the noise. And I want you to remember something today. Your true self is not weak, confused, or broken. It is strong, wise, and whole. But to connect with it, you have to quiet the world and tune into your spirit. This journey isn't about isolating yourself from the world permanently, but about reclaiming your inner authority. About finding stillness in motion, peace in chaos, and guidance not from the outside, but from your inner compass. In this powerful 8-part series, we're going to go deep. We'll explore how to break free from the distractions, detach from toxic patterns, and reconnect with the most important voice in your life, yours. We'll talk about overcoming the fear of silence, mastering solitude, building inner strength, and creating space for spiritual clarity. This isn't just motivation, this is transformation. Because once you silence the noise, everything changes. Your decisions get clearer, your confidence returns, your energy aligns with your truth, and finally, you feel free. So if you're tired of living for others, tired of drowning in confusion, tired of feeling disconnected from your power, this is your invitation. Step into the silence, step into your truth, step into who you really are. Let's begin the journey inward. Let's learn to silence the noise and hear your true self. The world is loud. And that's not by accident. In today's world, silence is almost seen as a threat. We're constantly being pushed to stay plugged in, always scrolling, always checking, always reacting. But have you ever wondered why everything around you feels so loud? Why the moment you try to sit in silence, there's a sense of discomfort, even anxiety? It's not an accident. The world is designed to keep you distracted, to keep your attention scattered. Because a distracted mind is a controlled mind. And when you're constantly absorbing the voices of others, their opinions, their standards, their expectations, you lose the ability to hear your own. You become a reflection of the noise instead of the expression of your truth. Silence is rare, not because it's hard to find, but because we've been conditioned to fear it. The world tells you to fear boredom, fear stillness, fear solitude, but what it's really doing is training you to fear yourself. Because in the silence, your soul speaks. And your soul, it doesn't follow trends. It doesn't bow to approval. It doesn't need permission. Your soul knows who you are, what you value, and where you're meant to go. But to connect with it, you must first unplug from the noise. That means putting your phone down, turning off the TV, stepping away from the crowd. And most importantly, it means becoming okay with being alone. Not lonely, but alone with yourself. Let me tell you something powerful. Silence is not empty. Silence is full of answers. In the beginning, it might feel strange. You'll hear the leftover noise. Doubt, fear, insecurity. That's just the residue of the world. Let it pass. Sit with it. Let it rise and let it fall. Because beneath that surface noise lies something deeper, something ancient. Your inner voice. The one that existed before the world told you who to be. That voice is waiting for you. And it's strong and it's clear. When you silence the noise, even for a few minutes a day, you'll begin to notice a shift. You'll start to hear the voice of your intuition, whispering the truth. You'll realize that most of your anxiety came from external input, not internal confusion. You'll understand that clarity doesn't come from the outside. It comes from tuning in. And once you hear that voice, you'll begin to trust it. You'll walk differently, speak differently, decide differently, because you're no longer reacting to noise, you're responding from truth. So let this be your first step. Be brave enough to embrace the silence. even if it's uncomfortable, even if it scares you. Because in that silence, you'll meet the real you, not the one the world created, but the one who was born to rise. Let the world be loud. But you choose silence. You choose clarity. You choose you. Rediscovering the power of stillness. There's something deeply powerful about stillness. Not the kind of stillness that comes from laziness or inaction, but the kind that rises from intentional presence. The kind of stillness where your body may not be moving, but your soul is finally breathing. In a world that glorifies hustle, speed, and constant activity, stillness becomes your rebellion, your sacred return to self. Stillness isn't passive. It's one of the most active forms of self-connection you can engage in. It's a decision, a declaration that says, I refuse to be dragged around by chaos. I choose peace. I choose presence. And it's in this place of calm that the fog starts to lift. The confusion begins to clear. You realize that the answers you've been desperately searching for outside were inside you all along. But here's the thing. Most people never slow down long enough to hear them. We've become addicted to doing. We fill every empty moment with distractions, music, podcasts, scrolling, talking, because deep down, many are afraid that if they stop, they'll come face to face with their true thoughts. And yet, that's exactly what's needed. To rediscover who you are, you have to stop running from yourself. Stillness reconnects you with your spirit. It grounds you. It brings you back into your body, into your breath, into the present moment. The only place where life actually happens. Not in your past regrets, not in your future worries, but right here, right now. And the moment you begin to embrace stillness, you'll notice how much of your life has been lived on autopilot, reacting, responding, surviving. Stillness pulls you out of that cycle. It gives you space to observe, to reflect, to choose instead of chase. Have you ever watched water settle after being stirred? At first it's murky, cloudy, but if you let it rest, the dirt falls to the bottom. And the water becomes clear. That's what stillness does to your mind. When you stop stirring it with constant motion, the chaos begins to settle and the truth becomes visible. It's in stillness where your soul gets loud, where your heart becomes a compass, where your mind releases the need for control and your inner wisdom rises. This is not weakness. This is power. This is how clarity is born. You don't have to escape to the mountains or meditate for hours. Start with just a few minutes each day. Sit quietly, breathe deeply, turn inward, listen. Let the world keep spinning. You just anchor yourself in the now. And in that stillness, you'll remember, you are not lost. You are just distracted. And now you are finding your way back. So today, don't just move, be still. Don't just do, be. And in that being, hear the quiet voice of your truth rise again. Tuning out the world to tune into yourself. You can't hear your true self if you're constantly tuned into everyone else. It's a harsh reality, but a necessary one. From the moment we wake up, we're bombarded with input. Social media, emails, news, texts, voices, noise. We wake up and instantly allow the world to define the rhythm of our thoughts. Before we've even taken a breath for ourselves, we're already reacting to the external. That's why so many people feel lost, anxious, disconnected, because they've forgotten how to hear themselves. Your inner voice, your truth, is not gone. It's just buried under layers of external noise. And the only way to find it again is to deliberately tune out the world. That means more than just turning off your phone. It means turning off the mental chatter that says you have to be someone you're not. It means letting go of the pressure to perform for approval, to meet expectations that were never yours to begin with. It means daring to stand in the silence and listen to the parts of you that you've been ignoring. There is a deep intelligence within you, a knowing, a compass that has been guiding you since the beginning. But we've spent so much time looking outward for direction that we've stopped trusting that inner wisdom. You don't need 100 voices telling you what to do. You need one clear voice, yours. Think of yourself like a radio. If you're tuned into static, all you'll get is noise. But when you adjust your frequency, when you cut out the interference, suddenly the signal comes through loud and clear. That's what happens when you begin to shut off the distractions and slow down. You stop absorbing everyone else's energy and begin to reconnect with your own frequency. This isn't selfish, this is survival. Because if you're constantly letting the outside world shape you, you'll never discover the power within you. You'll constantly be at the mercy of opinions, trends, fears, and comparison. But the moment you step away, even for a while, you'll reclaim your power. Start practicing this consciously. Take walks without your phone. Sit in silence without background noise. Journal what you're really feeling, not what you think you're supposed to feel. Create space, because space is sacred. In that space, your real self emerges. When you tune out the world, you start to remember what you actually want, what you value, what makes your heart come alive, and more importantly, you begin to separate your identity from what the world told you to be. This is how you find your way back home, not by adding more, but by subtracting what never belonged. So take a deep breath, tune out the noise, let the world keep talking, because the only voice you need right now is your own. Facing the fear of silence. Let's be honest. Silence scares most people, not because it's harmful, but because it's revealing. In the quiet, you come face to face with everything you've buried, the unspoken pain, the forgotten dreams, the truth you've been avoiding. That's why so many people keep themselves constantly busy, constantly distracted. Because silence is where the masks fall off, and that can feel terrifying. But here's the truth, you cannot heal what you won't face. And you cannot grow if you're constantly running from yourself. The fear of silence isn't really about silence, it's about what silence exposes. When the world goes quiet, your mind starts to speak louder. Old wounds echo, insecurities rise, regrets whisper, but none of these things are meant to destroy you. They're meant to guide you. They are signposts pointing to the parts of yourself that still need your attention, your compassion, your forgiveness. Silence is not your enemy, it's your mirror. And the reason it feels uncomfortable is because it reflects back everything you've been avoiding. But only in that reflection can you begin to do the real work. You can't pretend in silence, you can't hide, and that's what makes it so powerful. Many people spend their whole lives avoiding that uncomfortable stillness, and as a result, they never fully know themselves. They live behind filters and perform for the world, all the while wondering why they feel so hollow inside. But not you. You're here because you're ready to stop running. You're ready to turn inward and truly listen. Yes, the silence may be uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. You don't grow by staying in your comfort zone. You grow by facing what's difficult, by choosing courage over escape. And as you sit in silence more often, something begins to shift. The fear starts to fade. The anxiety begins to quiet. And in its place, you start to hear something deeper. Your soul, it speaks in feelings, in intuition, in quiet nudges. And once you learn to trust it, you'll never need external noise to guide you again. So don't resist the silence. Lean into it. Let it reveal. Let it teach. Let it heal. Start small. 5 minutes of complete quiet. No distractions. Just you and your breath. You'll feel the resistance. And that's okay. Breathe through it. Sit with it. And over time, the fear will lose its grip and peace will take its place. Because once you move through the fear of silence, you'll discover something incredible. The quiet isn't empty. It's full of you. And that's where your power lives. Not in the noise, but in the stillness you were once afraid of. Reclaiming your inner authority. You were not born to be controlled by the noise of the world. You were born with a voice, strong, unique, and filled with purpose. But over time, that voice gets buried beneath the weight of outside opinions. People tell you who to be, what to do, how to live. And slowly, if you're not careful, you forget that you are the author of your own life. It's time to reclaim your inner authority. When you silence the noise, you take back ownership. You stop outsourcing your choices to the crowd and begin making decisions based on your values, not their validation. That's not rebellion, that's alignment. And it's one of the most freeing feelings in the world. But here's the catch. Reclaiming your inner authority requires you to trust yourself. Truly trust yourself. Not the version of you shaped by fear, but the one underneath it. The you that exists when all the voices fade. The one who knows what feels right, what feels true, what feels aligned. The world will try to make you doubt that voice. It will tell you you're too much, too little, too different. But the only reason the world wants to silence you is because your truth threatens its illusion. Your authenticity disrupts the norm. Your confidence in yourself scares those who rely on control. So you must decide, whose voice will shape your life, theirs or yours? When you stop letting external forces dictate your worth, you start walking a new path, one led by intuition, conviction, and purpose. You stop waiting for approval and begin honoring your inner compass. You stop explaining yourself and start living unapologetically. And the more you trust your voice, the stronger it becomes. You begin to speak up with clarity, to make choices that align with your highest self. You become someone who is no longer swayed by trends, opinions, or fear, because you've learned to lead yourself from within. This doesn't mean you'll never feel doubt again. It means you no longer allow doubt to lead your life. You listen, you reflect, and then you choose with confidence, not confusion. Your inner authority is the most powerful guidance system you have. It doesn't scream. It doesn't beg for attention. It whispers calmly, clearly, consistently. And when you learn to trust it above all else, you become unstoppable. So today, I invite you to step back into your power, to stop asking for permission, to stop waiting for confirmation. You already have everything you need within you, the wisdom, the clarity, the direction. Silence the world for a moment and ask yourself, what do I really want? Then listen and trust the answer. Because when you reclaim your inner authority, the world no longer controls you, you lead yourself. Aligning with your authentic self. Silencing the noise isn't just about escaping the chaos around you. It's about finding your way back to the real you, the version of yourself that existed before the world told you who to be. That version is still there, buried under years of conditioning, expectations, and societal pressure, quietly waiting to be rediscovered. Most people are not living as themselves. They're living as a collection of what they've been told they should be. They chase success based on someone else's definition. They follow paths that don't ignite their soul. And deep down, they feel it. That quiet ache, that emptiness that comes from being disconnected from one's truth. But when you begin to silence the external noise, a shift happens. You start to recognize what feels aligned and what doesn't. You start to notice what energizes you and what drains you. You start to remember your values, your desires, your passions, the things that make you come alive. That's alignment. And once you find it, you'll never want to live outside of it again. Living in alignment with your authentic self means making choices that reflect who you really are, not who the world wants you to be. It means honoring your voice, your pace, your purpose. It means saying no when something doesn't feel right, even if others don't understand. It means walking away from things that no longer serve you, even when it's uncomfortable. This path isn't always easy. The world often rewards conformity, not authenticity. But the rewards of alignment are deeper than approval. They're soul deep. You feel it in your peace, in your joy, in your clarity, in the way your life starts to flow rather than fight. To align with your authentic self, ask yourself regularly, does this feel true to me? Is this choice coming from fear or from love? Am I living from my values or from others' expectations? These questions help you course correct. They pull you out of the noise and back into integrity. And when your actions reflect your essence, that's when fulfillment enters. That's when you stop chasing happiness and start embodying it. You were not born to copy. You were born to create. You were not born to blend in. You were born to shine. And the more you align with your true self, the more your life begins to make sense. The confusion lifts, the anxiety fades, because finally, you're living your truth. You're speaking your language. You're walking your path. So keep going. Keep peeling back the layers. Keep returning to your essence. Because the more you align with your authentic self, the louder your inner voice becomes, and the quieter the world feels. Creating inner peace through boundaries. Once you begin silencing the noise and aligning with your true self, there's one essential skill you must develop to protect that peace: boundaries. You see, peace isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you create. And you protect it through intentional choices. Because even after you find clarity, the world will still try to pull you back into its noise. People will still have opinions. Distractions will still exist. Chaos doesn't disappear, but your relationship with it changes. That's where boundaries come in. Not as walls, but as sacred lines that define what gets your energy and what doesn't. Boundaries are how you say, this is who I am now, and I honor my peace enough to protect it. Many people struggle with boundaries because they're afraid of disappointing others. They've been taught that saying no is selfish. But the truth is, saying yes to everything that drains you is the real betrayal. A betrayal of yourself. When you don't set boundaries, you open the door to noise again. You allow toxic voices to influence your decisions. You sacrifice your well-being for temporary approval. But when you stand firm in your truth, you filter the noise. You decide who gets access to your time, your mind, your energy. And that's not selfish, that's self-respect. Start by recognizing where the noise is creeping back in. Is it people who constantly project their fears onto you? Is it social media draining your self-worth? Is it commitments that don't align with your values? Whatever it is, name it, then draw the line. Sometimes boundaries are verbal. I'm not available for that. Sometimes they're silent, leaving the group chat, unfollowing the account, not answering the call. Either way, they are powerful declarations. I choose peace over pressure. As you strengthen your boundaries, you create more space for being. Head truly matters. You find that you're no longer reactive, you're intentional. You respond with wisdom instead of impulse. You begin to feel lighter, calmer, more rooted in who you are. The noise will always try to return, but it no longer owns you. You've built something stronger inside, a sanctuary that no outside voice can invade without your permission. Protect it, because your energy is sacred, your mind is valuable, your peace is non-negotiable. Boundaries are not barriers to connection. They are the foundation of authentic connection. Because when you protect your peace, you show up fully, honestly, and powerfully in the world. So stand tall, hold your line, let your boundaries be the gatekeepers of your soul. And remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing your peace. You only owe yourself the life you were born to live, loud in truth, but quiet in noise. Becoming the calm in the chaos. As you reach this point in your journey, where silence no longer feels like emptiness, where your inner voice is louder than the world's noise, you begin to realize something extraordinary. You are no longer controlled by the chaos. You have become the calm within it. This is the transformation. This is the goal. Not to escape the world, but to move through it without losing yourself. Because here's the truth. The noise isn't going anywhere. There will always be distractions. There will always be opinions, pressures, and temptations to abandon your path. But once you've built that inner sanctuary, that place of stillness and clarity, you can walk through the fire without getting burned. You carry your peace with you, like armor. You become the eye of the storm, still, grounded, unshaken. This is what true power looks like. It's not about being louder than the noise. It's about being so deeply rooted in your truth that the noise no longer reaches you. You listen to understand, not to absorb. You observe, not to react. You remain calm, not because life is easy, but because you've done the inner work. You've discovered that silence is strength, that peace is power, that the loudest voice in your life should be the one that comes from within. And now you lead with presence. You move with intention. You don't chase validation because you already trust your voice. You're no longer easily swayed because you've built your foundation on something unshakable. Self-awareness. This doesn't mean life becomes perfect. There will still be challenges, but now you're equipped. You've created space between stimulus and response. You've trained yourself to pause, to reflect, to act from alignment, not reaction. And this energy, this presence, this stillness, it radiates. Others will feel it. They'll notice there's something different about you. Something steady, something whole. They may not understand it, but they'll respect it. Because true peace commands quiet respect without ever raising its voice. This is your gift to the world. Not just your words, not just your actions, but your energy, the way you show up, the calm you carry, the peace you protect. So keep listening to that voice. Keep protecting that space. Keep trusting the silence. Because now you know. You don't need the world to go quiet in order to find peace. You've become the silence. You've become the stillness in motion. You've become the true version of yourself. Clear, centered, and free. Let the noise come and go. Let the world spin. You found your center. You found your truth. And now you walk in it.